Spirit warriors, lean in close. What if I told you that the reason you've always felt different, isolated, or misunderstood is because God didn't make you ordinary, He made you chosen. And with that divine assignment comes power. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift without saying a word? Ever sensed something before it happened? Or felt like your purpose stretches beyond what others can even comprehend? If so, Spirit warrior, you're not crazy. You're called. There was once a woman named Eliana, quiet, unassuming, and often dismissed. She worked a regular job, kept to herself, and didn't cause waves. But every time someone needed wisdom, peace, or discernment, they came to her. What they didn't know was that Eliana had spent years being molded by fire, tested in silence, and trained by the Spirit. She was a chosen one. And the reason she seemed different was because God had entrusted her with powers. Eliana isn't fiction. Eliana is you. Chosen ones, you are not here by coincidence. You've survived battles others never saw. You've wept in secret, healed without recognition, and still chose to love when it was easier to hate. You are God's undercover agents on earth. As it says in Luke 12:48, "To whom much is given, much will be required." And baby, you've been given a lot. In today's video, we're diving into the 7 powers God gives His chosen ones. These aren't comic book powers or fantasy fiction. These are real divine gifts that are part of your spiritual DNA. Some of them you've already felt. Others, they're about to be unlocked. Each one is like a weapon forged in the heavenlies and hidden in your soul. Stay with me till the end, Spirit warrior, because this isn't just about knowing your powers. It's about activating them. You're not watching this by accident. This is a divine appointment, a spiritual roll call. And trust me, when you hear Power 5, you're going to understand exactly why people have both feared you and secretly admired you. So grab your tea, your journal, or just your open heart, and let's awaken what heaven planted inside of you. Let's go, chosen one. Power 1, the gift of divine discernment. Chosen ones. Let's talk about something powerful, your spiritual lie detector. You know exactly what I mean. That unexplainable sense you get when you walk into a room, smile politely, and still feel that gnawing tug inside that something just ain't right. Even when the room is filled with applause, perfect lighting, and sweet words, you feel it. The tension, the mask, the lie. That's not anxiety or overthinking. That's divine discernment, and it's your superpower. While others get dazzled by charisma, credentials, and charm, you stand still and read energy. God didn't give you a surface-level spirit. He gave you the eyes to see behind the curtain and the ears to hear silence louder than sound. What others call just vibes is spiritual sonar for you. You're tuned in to heaven's frequency, and the static of fakeness can't slide past your radar unnoticed. You're not judgmental. You're just aware, spiritually awake. While others are cozying up to wolves in sheep's clothing, you're already backing out the door, knowing something's off before it ever hits the headlines. You've learned that not every smile is sincere, and not every handshake is holy. And so, you guard your peace, like treasure. You don't entertain demons in designer. You don't play spiritual poker with snakes dressed in respectability. You feel the deception before it even introduces itself. This is why people may label you too quiet, too distant, or too suspicious. But you're not. You're anointed. And sometimes, anointing requires you to stand apart, because those chosen by God can't blend in with those led by ego. Yes, discernment can be lonely. You may find yourself walking alone, distancing from family, friends, even communities. But remember this truth: God isolates what He elevates. He separates before He sanctifies. And your ability to sense what others can't is not a burden, it's a blessing. So trust it. Don't brush it off as paranoia or insecurity. That deep inner nudge, that pause, that warning, that sudden drop in energy isn't coming from fear. It's coming from the Spirit. It's not just a gut feeling. It's God's whisper in a noisy world, and when He speaks, listen, always. Power 2, the ability to heal with your presence. Spirit warriors, have you ever noticed how strangers suddenly open up around you, pouring out secrets, fears, and pain they've kept locked away for years? Maybe they sigh and say, I don't know why I feel so safe with you. Let's be clear, that's not by chance. That is the power of presence. And it's not something you learned, it's something you were born with. You, chosen one, carry a divine frequency that shifts atmospheres without saying a word. It's like your soul walks into the room 5 minutes before you do, rearranging the spiritual furniture. Your presence soothes like a warm fire on a cold night, and for many it's the first peace they've felt in ages. Science tells us everything is energy, and emotions, yes, even the unspoken ones, can be felt. Your energy is felt. You are calibrated to heaven's peace, and that's why when you enter a room, anxious people relax, aggressive spirits quiet down, and the broken somehow feel seen. You're not just a person. You're a walking altar, a spiritual lighthouse for the lost and wandering. But with that comes a weight. Without trying, you absorb the emotional baggage of others like a sponge. You've probably left conversations feeling exhausted, emotionally drained, or even physically sick, because you just carried someone else's pain through your own vessel. That's spiritual labor. And that's why boundaries are holy. You weren't made to carry the world's wounds without rest. Even Jesus retreated to the mountains. Understand this, your soul is constantly pouring, and if you don't intentionally refill, you'll burn out. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's spiritual maintenance. Solitude is your reset button. Silence is your recharge. Don't apologize for needing time alone. You're not being antisocial. You're restoring your anointing. So the next time someone says, "I feel healed just being around you," remember, that's divine power in action. But power must be protected. Set your boundaries like sacred gates. Create spaces where your soul can breathe. Because a chosen one who's well-rested and in alignment, that's a force hell can't touch. Your presence is medicine, but even healers must heal. Protect your peace. It's not just your power, it's your lifeline. Power 3. The unexplainable favor. Chosen ones, ever noticed how things just work out for you? Not always easily, but divinely. That job you weren't even fully qualified for, somehow you got the call. That rent payment that had you stressed, covered at the last minute by an unexpected refund or a generous soul moved by the Spirit. That toxic person who wore a mask so well, exposed and effortlessly removed from your life like they never belonged in the first place. That's not random. That's divine favor. And it doesn't operate on human logic. It flows through spiritual obedience and purpose. People look at your life and they see the outcome, the glow-up, the upgrades, the peace you walk in now, but they have no idea what it cost. They don't see the tears, the lonely seasons, the spiritual warfare you fought when no one else was praying for you but you. They didn't hear the late-night conversations you had with God when anxiety tried to take your breath away, or the discipline it took to choose silence instead of clapping back. They see your favor, but they missed your faith. Here's the truth. Favor isn't luck. It's alignment. In Hebrew, the word for favor is chen, meaning grace, kindness, and goodwill, undeserved but divinely appointed. When your life aligns with your assignment, favor follows like a shadow. You didn't force those doors to open. They opened because heaven whispered your name in rooms you've never even walked into. You were sent, not self-promoted. So let them talk. Let them make assumptions. Let them try to figure out how you keep rising when they swore you'd fall. Just smile and keep walking. You don't need to explain what God is doing in your life to people who weren't part of the mission. The same mouths that doubted you will have to witness your elevation. Because favor speaks louder than gossip. It's the loudest silence you'll ever carry. Keep moving in obedience. Stay humble. And when that divine favor shows up again, and it will, don't be surprised. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's the reward of walking in alignment with the one who called you. You're not just lucky, chosen one. You're covered. And the world is starting to see it. Power 4. The power to stay unbroken. Let's get real, spirit warriors. You've walked through fires others couldn't even stand near, and you came out not just alive, but transformed. How many times have you been betrayed by someone you trusted, misunderstood by those you tried to help, or sabotaged by people who couldn't handle your light? And yet, here you are, still breathing, still rising, still chosen. That's not luck. That's divine resilience, a supernatural strength that doesn't come from willpower alone, but from something far more powerful: your divine assignment. See, chosen ones are built different. Not because we're immune to pain, but because we are anchored, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. It's not about having thick skin, it's about having a deep soul. You've cried in the shower, wiped your tears, and then poured life into someone else like you weren't just drowning moments before. You've bled behind closed doors, stitched yourself up in silence, and walked out into the world like a healer. That's not pretending, that's purpose in motion. And while others may not understand it, you know that your strength doesn't come from the absence of pain. It comes from how you carry it with grace. Science backs this up too. Studies in post-traumatic growth show that individuals who experience adversity often develop a greater sense of purpose, spiritual awareness, and compassion for others. You're not broken, you're being refined. Your resilience isn't just a survival tool, it's a spiritual badge of honor. Most people crumble under constant opposition. But you bend, you stretch, you adapt, and then you rise, again and again. You are living proof that pain doesn't get the last word, purpose does. And every tear, every heartbreak, every battle has only strengthened your roots. That's why you shine so fiercely. Because you faced storms that were meant to destroy you and turn them into stepping stones. You're not just surviving, you're thriving in the aftermath. Not because you're numb, but because you're graced by something eternal. So hold your head high, spirit warrior. The world may never fully grasp your depth, but heaven knows exactly who you are. And you didn't come this far just to make it. You came to rise, to lead, and to light the way. Power. 5. The authority to command atmospheres. Yes, you. The moment you step into a room, something changes. It's not your clothes, your status, or even your words. It's your presence. You don't have to announce yourself because your spirit already did. That's the mark of the chosen ones. Those divinely set apart by God, not for applause, but for assignment. You carry a spiritual frequency that disrupts the ordinary. And no, it's not intimidation. It's impact. You see, chosen ones don't operate on charisma alone. Charisma can entertain, but authority transforms. When you speak, it's as if heaven leans in, not because you have the loudest voice, but because your words are backed by divine power. When you pray, things don't just feel better. They shift. Chains break, doors open, hearts soften. That's not random. It's spiritual authority in action. You didn't earn it through performance. It was placed on you by design. God gave you dominion, not the kind that seeks control, but the kind that restores order. Dominion over darkness, over confusion, over chaos. That's why environments react so strongly to you. Some rooms light up in your presence, others get uncomfortable. It's not personal, it's spiritual. Light never asks for permission to shine, it just does. And when it does, anything that thrives in the shadows either transforms or flees. That's why you've felt the tension. Why certain spaces feel like a battlefield. Because you're not just in the room, you're shifting the atmosphere of the room. You're anointed to disrupt dysfunction, to silence confusion, to bring peace where there was none. You don't need to fit in when you were born to stand apart. You were never meant to blend. You were created to blaze. So walk in your divine boldness, not with arrogance, but with assurance. Not with fear, but with fire. You're not here to win popularity contests. You're here to fulfill purpose. You carry something the world can't manufacture or mimic, the evidence of God's hand on your life. That's why the room shifts. That's why people notice. That's why some cheer while others retreat. You are a walking atmosphere shift, a divine interruption to the status quo. Don't dim your light. Walk tall, walk true, walk chosen. Power. 6. The knowing before knowing. Chosen ones. Trust that inner knowing. It's spiritual foresight, not overthinking. Chosen ones. How many times have you just known something before it even happened? Maybe you felt it in your gut when someone wasn't being honest. Maybe you walked into a room and sensed something wasn't right long before the truth was revealed. Or maybe you felt an unshakable urge to leave a place, end a relationship, or pass on an opportunity, only to find out later that it saved you from chaos. That's not paranoia. That's not anxiety. That's spiritual foresight, God's divine whisper echoing through your soul. Science tells us the brain processes 11 million bits of information per second, but we're only consciously aware of about 50. That means your intuition, your spirit's radar, is often responding to things your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. For the chosen ones, that radar is especially sharp because your calling requires early warnings. God doesn't wait until the storm hits to speak to you. He gives you a spiritual forecast. These previews might come through dreams that feel more vivid than reality, sudden flashes of insight that feel too specific to ignore, or that heavy stirring in your belly that says, "Don't go there." It's not logical, but it's real. And every time you obey that inner knowing, you avoid a pitfall and step closer to your divine purpose. Others may mock you. They'll say you're being dramatic or you're overthinking it. But while they're guessing, you're receiving blueprints. While they rely on opinions and surface appearances, you're walking by faith data. That's why you're 10 steps ahead. That's why you dodge traps they didn't even see. That's why, even when you don't have all the details, you still move like someone who knows where they're going. Because you do. Think of Joseph in the Bible, betrayed, sold into slavery, locked away. But God gave him dreams, visions, and divine insight that positioned him for rulership. Or Esther, who stepped into a royal destiny because of divine timing and intuition. Spirit warrior, you're not weird, you're wired, for discernment, for protection, and for destiny. So don't doubt it, don't dismiss it. That inner knowing is your heavenly navigation system. Trust it. It's leading you exactly where you're meant to be. Power 7, the gift of words that penetrate souls. Finally, chosen one. Let's talk about that mouth of yours. No, not in the way the world tries to twist it. We're not talking sass or sarcasm, we're talking power. The kind of power that doesn't just stir a room, but stirs souls. You have the power of prophetic speech. And whether you fully realize it yet or not, your words are not ordinary. When you speak, it's as if the atmosphere pauses to listen. Your encouragement can shift someone from the edge of despair to the path of purpose. Your correction doesn't just call out faults. It calls in truth with a force that lingers in the spirit long after you've stopped talking. This isn't just poetic language, it's biblical. Proverbs 18:21 says the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And chosen one, your fruit? It's divine. You've been anointed to speak not just to people, but into them. You're not just good with words. You are heaven's megaphone. God uses your voice to wake the sleeping, shake the stubborn, and guide the lost. That kind of voice doesn't come from textbooks or talent. It's spiritual, it's sacred. But here's the catch. Great power always comes with great responsibility. You can build or break, heal or hurt, speak life or leak poison. So guard that mouth like the sacred instrument it is. Let your words release healing, truth, and vision. Let your silence speak when words aren't needed, because even your quiet carries conviction. You've probably noticed when you speak, people stop and listen. When you're silent, they feel it too. That's not ego, it's evidence. Evidence that your voice cuts through noise like light through fog. In a world full of chatter, confusion, and chaos, you are the voice of clarity. So use it, don't shrink it, don't water it down. Speak boldly, prophetically, and with love. Because when a chosen one like you speaks, it's not just conversation, it's activation. Spirit warrior, now that you know your powers, what are you going to do with them? You weren't chosen to be comfortable. You were chosen to be consecrated, to live set apart, to walk with purpose, to shine when it's dark. You are heaven's agent in earth's battlefield. So wear your power with humility, walk in it with boldness, and protect it with prayer. People may never understand you, but they will feel you. Stay awake, angels, stay anchored. And never forget, you are chosen for such a time as this. Let the world sleep. You keep glowing. Until next time, spirit warriors, your powers are not just given, they're activated.